In this video, we will demonstrate the X mark for fully edentulous cases for registration, refinement, and system checks. Before we can register the case, please keep in mind that the edentulous clip and patient tracker must first be secured to the patient's jaw. Also, make sure not to reduce the ridge or make alterations to the bone before X mark registration or refinement, as the new bone levels would not match the CT you are using to X mark. First, under the navigation section of the main menu bar, click on the X mark registration button. Using your mouse, identify and double-click on a minimum of 3 anatomical points in the CT scan on the 3D rendering. These 3 plotted touch points will need to be replicated physically on the patient with the probe tool, so use easily identifiable bony landmarks, such as pointy surfaces on the ridge or above furcations or divots, not inside those. You should select plot points around the jaw, ideally 1 in each sextant. Use your live feedback cross-sections to help pinpoint each touch point. Each plot point will be listed in the upper left-hand panel. Once plotted, the spread quality value should be equal to or greater than 14, unless this is a small field of view CT scan. If not, you should replot using points further away from each other. If you want to replot a point, delete the line item using the X to the right and start over. Now we will physically register these 3 touch points on the patient. The registration sequence is critical. Number 1, the assistant should click on the line item number 1 on screen. The line item will highlight in green, and notice that the 3D render image will auto-rotate to that point. Number 2, now the doctor with the probe tool will physically touch that point number 1 on the patient's jaw, all under the camera system, 60 to 80 centimeters distance. Please note that it is important to hold the probe tool perpendicular to the anatomical touch point. Lastly, the assistant will click on the Register button icon in the bottom left portion of this panel. The doctor should not remove the probe from anatomy until registration has completed, depicted by the big green check mark illustration. Once registered, the line item will also have a check mark next to it. Repeat these same steps for line item 2 and 3. Notice the numerical values next to each registration. This value should always be under plus or minus 1.0 for each. If not, re-register. To re-register, be sure to hold the probe tool on the appropriate touch point on the jaw and then click on the orange re-register arrow button. Now, since the case is fully edentulous, we recommend that you move directly to the refinement step. From the navigation section of the menu bar, click on the Registration Refinement icon. In this refinement page, we will be providing the system with much more information by running the X-Mark probe tool over larger areas of anatomy, therefore collecting 200 or more reference points. We need to define at least 3 refinement areas, but you can register more than 3. And for fully edentulous cases, we do recommend defining a 4th refinement area along the occlusal surface of the jaw. Essentially, we will be physically painting an area on the patient with the probe tool. The doctor should start moving the probe tool over the selected area of interest on the patient, and the assistant should then click the Start button. We recommend defining an area on the buckle side and one area per sextant. Keep in mind that the probe tool should be perpendicular to the surface area when painting, and the probe tip should stay in contact with the anatomy for the duration of the painting action. The software will automatically determine when a refinement is completed for that location. Notice how the 3D rendering displays the refined area in different colors. Again, we recommend that you do a final fourth refinement all along the entire occlusal surface of the jaw. Once you have defined these refinement sites, perform a probe tool system check to verify your refinement accuracy. This system check will be completed right here in the X-Mark refinement screen using the X-Mark probe tool, not the handpiece drill. Touch points should be at minimum on the occlusal and buccal surface and at least 3 separate areas around the jaw, always starting furthest away from the edentulous clip. The orange circle at the virtual probe tip represents a 1 mm radius from the probe tip. If the anatomical location that the probe tip is touching is present within the orange circle around the probe tip, then the system check proves accuracy at that location. Other touch points could be lingual and mesial distal points, and always, of course, at the implant site. We recommend staying away from metal artifacts if possible. Also keep in mind, since the probe tool is a sharp point, you can do transgingival checkpoints if desired. Visually verify that each checkpoint is accurate within the orange circle. When your probe tool system check is ideal, go to the navigation page and perform your normal system check with the handpiece before drilling. Remember to use a pilot or precision drill and check at least 3 points around the entire jaw, starting with the spot furthest away from the edentulous clip. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact technical support.